So, tell me your name.
My name is Joey Wilson.
Just in case
Yeah,
somebody out there looking for me.
yeah.
All right, Joey. Tell me about how long you've been here at Recovery Resources.
I have been in Recovery Resources for a little over 9 months now. Been in the Johnson City area for a little over 10.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And you found your way here, like you said earlier, through drug treatment center in
Yep,
Johnson City.
absolutely.
Was that your first treatment center?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So tell me about what your final week, 10 days, whatever, was like within addiction. Like what did the picture of your life look like during that time?
As complicated as it may sound, so I was working a good job,
Okay.
making killer money, but I had my family cooped up in a $350 a week motel room that I couldn't afford. The last week of it, I actually spent laying on my mom's couch trying to figure out what I was going to do.
When you say your family, who did that
I'm
consist
talking
of?
about my wife and my children. So I had been back with my wife and children for a decent amount of time. So this job that I worked, that I made a substantial amount of money to be able to buy or even rent a house, maybe even looking into buying. So the walls were lined with their belongings, but they wasn't there. They had seen me go down this hole that I had been in for probably about a year and a half at this point.
What kind of drugs? What were you doing?
Oh, heroin.
Okay.
Yeah, any kind of opiate, but heroin was the pick at the time. So there I was, about 3 weeks before I finally come here. I was at that pistol moment. It was either I was going to pull a pistol and stick it in my mouth and see how many shots I could get out before I was done, or I was looking for that one last shot through the end of a needle to take me out. Because it wasn't the next shot, it was the last one I was looking for. So when I get to that point, she loads up my kids, she takes off, and all I've got's their clothes and toys and all the things lined against the wall. And then there I am in my isolation pad, I guess you could say,
Yes.
and internalizing everything that I had been through. And
Which is real.
yeah, and it's real, very real, because we'll get to that in a minute. But at the end of the day, I was ready to die. I didn't have anything else to live for. I was just ready for when I woke up in the morning. I was like, here we are again, this shit all over again today. That I have to do these things that I'm certainly ungrateful to do, and that's one of them. Opening my eyes, I didn't realize how much of an effect that was going to make on me because I was in a dark place. Dying was the only thing that I was living for, if that makes sense.
It does completely. When you say I didn't realize how much of an effect that would have on me, what are you speaking about specifically?
As far as so I had always been afraid of death was a big trigger for me. Anytime anything happened to anybody that I loved, my best mechanism is to blame somebody else. And if I'm being honest, it was God. I blamed everything on God. Anything that happened to me, the bad sack of potatoes or the bad deck of cards or whatever it looked like in my life, it was all because of him.
Wow, where did that belief come from?
Self belief. Because the self justification of it is what it ended up being, is because I was taught I wasn't taught. I had learned a trait early on, the manipulation trait, early in my life, and I kind of rolled with the punches with that because I seen people that were just blaming everybody else for the things that they were going through. I picked up on that easily because not only could I lie to you to get what I wanted, I could also blame somebody for the reason why I did it.
Ah,
And
protects you and works for you.
right. And I held that close to the chest because that was my easiest thing, because I had a hard life growing up. My stepdad done this, and mom didn't love me, and if I hate to put it this way, but boo fucking who for me, and
Yeah.
that's all it was, because I'm selfish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't care about nobody else except for me.
I get it.
So there I am, looking for somebody to blame in this motel room, and the first person that I blame is my wife.
Every time.
Every time. Then I blame my kids because they wouldn't leave me alone long enough to keep my needles out on the bed so that way I could get a shot of dope off. Then after that, it was the motel guy who I was renting a motel off of, because he won't give me just a little bit more time in this room. I was running out of options. I was out of money. So it was either the dope or the room. And I was like, well, fuck that room. I need the dope.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know
Every
what I'm
time.
saying? And then I loaded up what little bit of shit that I had to give me some clarity of being there around their stuff. So I left and I went to my mom's because that was my safe haven. My mom, for a long time, I depended on for a lot of things. And how I got my medicine was one of them.
Okay.
The money aspect was another. And I done things because I thought that I had to prove to her that I loved her doing certain things. And in turn, she felt like the only way that she knew to love me was to help me the way that she knew how.
Oh, like a nice, healthy.
Because she didn't know any better.
Yeah. Well,
right?
naturally, that's it's
And-
often more positions and relationships we find ourselves in.
Yeah, because she didn't know how to love, and the only way that she knew how to love with me was to help me where she thought that I needed it.
And some people wouldn't agree with this, but in a strange way, you all were doing the best you all knew how.
Exactly, survival mode.
Yeah, survival mode. So with that last week, your wife packs the kids. How old are your kids at that time?
At that time, they are 13, 9, 7, and 3.
Yeah, 4 kids and a wife and you in a hotel room.
In a small, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So they go, they skedaddle.
Yeah.
And you're left there.
Yep.
You wake up, and you're like, man, I woke up.
Again, for this bullshit.
Yeah. So what is the catalyst? What is the turning point? Like, what makes Joey say, I don't know what it is, but this ain't it?
The love that I thought that I had for my family. Now, when I say thought, love is an action word.
Yeah.
As far as I had gotten up to that point, I had put no action behind that word. I had used and abused every situation that I absolutely could with all of them. I had done all the wrong things in front of my children, and I had told my wife all the things that I have manipulated many situations with before. I'm going to quit. Don't worry. This is the last time. I promise I'm not going to do this again. You don't understand what I've been through. But she's been with me for almost a quarter of a century. She knows everything about me, tick for tack. She knows me from my toenails to the tip of my hair. And she didn't understand me because I couldn't stop using.
So you're breaking her heart every time. Yeah.
Every single time. And what got me to the point to where I said enough is enough is when she sent me that message and she said, if you don't get the help that you need, I cannot do this anymore. I'm not going to put the kids through it anymore. I'm not going to put myself through it anymore. And that was what woke me up. So I immediately started talking to people about what I could do for treatment. Because Mama didn't raise no quitter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Mama didn't raise no quitters.
A lot of pride.
Yeah, a lot of pride. So with that aspect, I was like, well, I'm finally gonna do this. I'm gonna surrender. But when I've got this on, first, the thing about coming here, man, my little brother's last little bit of service that he done for me before he passed away, man. Here we are. He sent me to a place where they fed my big fat hind end. You know what I'm saying? And that was the only thing that I was interested in at the moment.
Yeah.
And so he tells me, he says, I know a place for you. And I was like, great. So we loaded up and we come down this way. And I ended up in treatment in Johnson City.
Yeah. How long did you go through detox and all that?
Yeah.
How long was that?
About 5 days. and then the 28-day that they offer down there minus the 5. So I was there 33 days total.
Okay. And what happened after, I mean, aside from eating?
So a weekend, man, I've got it all figured out. I mean, I've got life figured out at this point. Oh, I've come down here. I'm going to get this certificate and whatever it is they give you down there. I've got this shit figured out. 28 days is all I need. Nothing more. You know what I'm saying? Minus the detox, 33 days is all I need. I've got it figured out already. So when I go in week 1, I'm doing it for my wife and kids. I hear people in the background chattering in my ear, and it's a couple of texts that's there, and they're like, well, you can't do it for you, you got to do it for you, you can't do it for them. And I'm like, bullshit, watch me. Because I'm prideful, right?
Yeah.
Second weekend, man, something starts to, I don't know what it is, something starts to happen. So I shut my mouth for a while, and I start opening my ears, and I start listening to shit. Because I remember saying, man, all these damn classes, same shit over and over and over and over. Third weekends, whenever I get my little God nugget, man. I'm going to try to be as discreet as possible. I was coming out from my therapy appointment at the treatment center where I was at. I had filled out an application for Recovery Resources. And as I was coming out of my therapy appointment, Tabitha was sitting in the corner. As I was coming around that corner, she called my name. And I knew right then, because my biggest idea while I was there is that I'm going to do this and I'm going home. That's my biggest idea. When I come around that corner, she calls my name. There was a man there was a tech that was at the treatment facility that had me on the fence about sober living. And I was like, no, I'll tell you what, I got this. I said, I'll admit my wrong if I am. I said, and if you're right, if you're wrong, I said, you can admit to me. So he had me on the fence. But when she called my name, that set it in. I said, I'm going to sober living.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was God working, doing for me what I couldn't do for myself.
Naturally. Well, leaning, a prideful man leaning on, what the signs are, what's around him, being present in the moment. And you showed up here.
Yeah.
And what's that been like?
So I'm going to say this. It's a great program, but fantastic from everything to walking through the door to today. People have showed me nothing but love. And going back to that love word being an action word, right? So I come in here and people show me love. Craig and Tabitha show me love. The people in this program show me love. Because I don't know how to love my damn self. So that teaches me to love through action, right?
Okay.
So when I'm taught to love, I can love another through that action. So they teach me how to do it. First of all, I start loving myself for the first time in my entire life. I actually know who I am today. I know I have a purpose. Today, my purpose is going to be different than what it is tomorrow and what it was yesterday. But I have a purpose. Whatever that lies in, it's what happens.
I'm following you.
So that purpose, that gives me something to thrive for. Because they set all this in place, man, and it don't make no damn sense to me about the structure. Because, listen, I've been structured. You know what I'm saying? I can get out here and I can do dope with the best of them, drive down the street and act like I know what the hell's going on. I ain't got a fucking clue what's going on. All I know is people around me is like, man, you're fucked up. And I'm like, no, not me. You definitely got the wrong guy. Because I think I'm the smartest man in the room.
Yeah.
So being that, man, I actually start figuring out who the fuck I'm supposed to be, man. And it's not this dude that everybody sees that's lolling out in his fucking lap, bleeding from every orifice on his body and just jamming shit in his arm because he can. I've put cars, I've put rent money, I have put relationships, I have put everything that I know or what I thought I knew through the head of a needle. I have put everything through it. And the result from that is what led me here. And that was my purpose then, was to figure out what the hell was going on in my life to get me to this point right now to have a purpose today.
Ah, I see. It's like none of this today would matter without all of that pain and
Yeah, because
experience.
it's the past, man.
Yeah.
I don't have to let that past define me as a man today.
No, no doubt.
But I'll live through that experience to be able to help another.
It's you sound very enthusiastic and knowledgeable about recovery based off of the experiences that you've been having.
Yeah.
What are what are you most excited for in your life today?
I have a gratitude word, and it's get. So I get to do these things today because God showed me enough grace to wake me up this morning to get to do these things. So I get to sit here and have this conversation with you. I get to go down here and be with these guys in unity in this house. I get to go to a meeting here in a little bit because I can remember months ago I got to do these stuff. I had to do this stuff. I have to do this stuff. And fuck, it really got on my nerves because I didn't want to do any of it. I wanted to die. And today I get to live
Because you want to.
because I want to fucking live.
That suggests that it's enjoyable and it's fun and you're present and you feel like you're alive.
The best thing about this program and everything it has to offer, man, is it has given me the opportunity to have a life like I've never had before.
Like the recovery resources or 12.
Recovery resources, the 12 steps, working with a sponsor, going to meetings, just the community in its aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot going on, and whatever happens within the 12 steps, whatever that unlocks for us, or whatever that wakes up within us, or maybe even for the first time ever. I think everything else that we have going on kind of complements what's going on with
Yeah.
that, helps cultivate and build a foundation. What are you doing on the foundation you've built, or you started building, you're working on?
Well, the first thing, man, is just like so. If I'm being right honest, like so when I get here, man, I have to admit that I am powerless and unmanageable, and I am that. And even today, dude, there's certain things that I'm powerless and unmanageable against. But being able to be vulnerable, being honest,
It's a big one. It's a big one.
willing and open-minded enough to take some suggestions from people that say, "Hey, man, this is what this looks like on me," because they're a gleaming light to me, and it's like I want some of that shit. I want whatever it is that he's wearing. I want to try that suit on because my old suit's fucked. It's ragged and it's dirty, and I haven't changed it in 24 years. And I want to change that suit, and whenever I put that new suit on, it's kind of snug and it fits right and it's bright. White, yellow, orange, green, whatever the color is of the day. But that's what it looks like on me. So I get to shine a little bit as somebody else did because they shared their experience to me.
Yeah, man. It's like where I used to think being cracked and broken means I can be easily discarded or thrown away because I'm cracked or broken. But what I hear you saying is that because I'm cracked or broken, that's how the light can shine through.
Yes, sir.
Man, so you get to be like a beacon, like
Yeah,
a
man.
that's powerful, man. What do your kids think about you today?
I have a relationship with my kids today that I've never had. I remember many times whenever like my mom and dad and God love them, they didn't know no better because they wasn't taught any better. My dad, he was raised rough, and my mom, her mom didn't really love her, so they done the best that they could with what they had to work with. My dad thought that that's the way that you raised a family. My mom thought that that's how you love somebody. So them two together, it was a catalyst for anything that happened beyond that. So whenever it's okay, so they say that addiction is hereditary or genetic. And it's not the using part of it, it's the feelings and suppressing them that's the genetic part of it. Because this family member was taught by their family to do this, and then their family was taught to do this. In turn, my dad's family, he was raised a certain way. That's how he thought that he had to raise his family.
You pass down the pain?
Pass down the pain. And that's kind of the way that it works in my life. That it worked in my life is the pain that they had felt before is how it was genetically passed to me. So I had my family in that uproar.
That's pretty profound.
And so when it comes to that, it's like, so what did I do with my kids? I told them, this is the way that it's going to be. Your opinion don't matter to shit, and you're going to do what I say. Same thing with the wife. You are not a person to me. You are my property, and you will do what I tell you to do, no matter the circumstance. And if you don't, then we have problems, because your opinion or nothing that you say matters to me. It's all about me.
So you said that and acted that out.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So that's not the guy who's existing or sitting here in front of me today, is what you're suggesting.
My children absolutely cannot wait for me to be around. My wife is always, she's like, when are you going to come home for a visit? When are we going to be able to spend some time together? And God give us that separation so that way I could figure out who I was, figure out what it is that love looked like to me today, and how I can put some of this stuff to work in my life, and especially 12 steps and all the things as far as like the principles go.
Yeah.
And when I start to do that, I like working the steps, man, I get some relief somewhere down the road, and it's about 4. About 4, I get some relief because I actually get to see what kind of dickhead that I have been all these years. And I'm thinking, well, everybody else is to blame. They just reacted to my action.
That's curious. So today, have you completed 12-step process?
Going back through them.
Oh wow! So second time to keep going. So what's the plan now?
Well, I'm currently
Let me ask this: where's God leading you right now?
God's so, and that's funny that you mentioned that, because I can remember just coming in and being like, well, I'm going to graduate early and I'm going home. That wasn't God's plan. I'm still here. And until God shows me a different direction in a different 24 hours than today, I'm going to do my very best to be a better man if I get that tomorrow to do and I get to do these things. So whatever he leads me up to do in that 24 hours, that's what I'll do.
Hell yeah! Thank you for doing this.
I know. I appreciate you asking me to do it.
No, thank you. Once God reveals what that next 24 hours looks like for you, will you let me know?
Absolutely.
I want to check back in with you.